Minister,
Hello.
thank you for being with us on the Guyana Chronicle for this special interview and an update on Building Expo. Building Expo is here, and the citizens are very, very excited. There's a buzz around the town on social media, both locally and in the diaspora. What can people expect at Building Expo this year, and what is different from the rest of the years?
Yeah, actually, I just came from the stadium an hour ago, and as you said, it's quite busy, and the exhibitors are putting their last-ditch effort to ensure that they're complete in time. As in every expo, we try to aim higher, and that is to offer more products, more services, to be able to, as the technology advances in terms of construction, so we try to invite companies, and it's no different this time. I mean, we know will be the biggest building expo, and that's what we aim for. We aim for improve from the last time. Over 370-something odd booths that will be on showcase of exhibitors, and of different types of products and services that they're offering, all categories. Not just about hardware. That's a routine. We're talking about architecture. We're talking about financing, technology. Even when I say financing, the banking institutions, insurance companies. We have over 20 international companies that are participating. There are some international companies, but they have JVs or they're in partnership with local companies. So you have, of course, we have our houses that will be a demonstration, the type of houses that we build. So one will have an appreciation of what we do. We have our housing booth so that you see the different departments and be updated on the different services that we offer as a ministry. So both Central Housing and Planning Authority and Guyana Water Inc. will be represented under that one booth. There is an equipment zone that is to the northern part of the venue of the stadium tarmac. And the equipment zone has a number of exhibitors are portraying their construction type equipment, or no doubt to offer the service that they may have. Any interested person who may want to engage crane services, etc., those sort of things. And we have a developmental zone. That developmental zone is aimed at showcasing the participation of different contractors, there are companies, in the role that they play for the development of our country, the transformation of our country. They all play a role. And so the trajectory on which we're operating on, the change in the dynamism of the transformation is happening very quickly, very much rapidly. And so, one can have an appreciation when they go there. There's another section that we have from 1 o'clock on Friday and Saturday, maybe from 1 to 7. Different topics are available for that will be presented at different times. We have published that list. And so any topic that is of interest to whatever sector you're in. So the relevant topics for construction, home ownership, decision making, Forestry Commission, EPA, all are involved in making presentations, including our various departments here. On the other side, we have our Dream Realize activities continue. Those persons, so no sensible money turns up for that. Those persons we've gone through that process. They've been identified, they've been called, they've been given a letter so that they can come to the venue for us to make the necessary allocation and for them to make the necessary payment. So that's over on Friday and Saturday. We have staggered that. The last time I know so you talk about what's different. Last time I think we had a lot of persons who came at one time, so we have staggered those persons throughout the day. On Saturday from 1 to 4, we have the certificate of title and transport distribution. We have over 650 documents that we have processed. These are persons who came in, they signed the agreement, and we were able to process for their ownership.
Impressive.
That's a lot. So that will be available for those persons. We have published in the dailies that list of persons, and so we want to encourage them to come and uplift. That's their final document. That's their own.
Wow.
That's their ownership. So that signals security of tenure for them. But so throughout the process, we want the technological companies are there. The cell phone companies are there. So GT&T is there. ENET is also, ENET is our premium and one premium sponsor.
Yeah.
And so they are there in a big way too. And these are companies, they play a role too. See, when you talk about security too, security is there. So there's every aspect that you need to know in terms of home ownership. Every aspect you need to know in terms of when you want to make decisions, of providing options for potential homeowner or a homeowner. It's not either one, because you can make advanced or informed decision. You can start the planning now. And this is something we want to inculcate in persons, in that don't wait until you're called by the Ministry of Housing, you receive an allocation, and then you go planning. Indeed. Start that process now. Start conceptualize, what type of house you want to build. Start having your plan, develop in the sense, you can't send it for approval, but at least you have an idea. Have your financing available for a land, so that should you be called by the CHP, you are able to make that payment, and you have that issue. So this is part of planning. Once you're in our system, eventually we'll get to you.
Because you have the banks there, you have the insurance companies there, and they'll be providing these the answers to these questions from people. Because that you answered the question before I even asked. Because I was going to ask, if I'm the regular person out there, why should I go to Building Expo? Is it just for a lime? But then you precisely said that you can actually know what are the requirements that or you can have those requirements filled in some ways before you even get the allocation of a land.
So there are a number of things that we want to encourage, not just individuals. We want you to go as a family.
Right.
So you know how it goes. Generally, in terms certain decision in the house, the wives, the females tend to make those decisions and choice, paint and all those things. So go as a family, so you can discuss. You can have this or the option, because there will be options available. You will be seeing new, even doors, windows. You have a variety that will be made available by different presenters that will give you options. So that's one. So we want you to go with an open mind and leave informed. We don't know have it all. So affordable housing too. So affordable construction. So it allows you to have substitute materials that can be used. What is the cost? Those sort of things. So it helps you to make informed decisions. Nice tiles, whether now in front of the houses you see those patterns, those designs. Those are the sort of things you will see there that will help you to make informed decisions. Having said that, we want families to go, want people to go to be able to get as much information. Obviously, you can't have all the answers there, because the exhibitors won't be able to spend all that time with you.
Exactly.
They have a lot of thousands of people coming. But collect the numbers and do some follow-up. In terms of the lending institution, you can be able to make informed decisions, because you can ask the bank directly. They have the formula. Should I be earning X amount? With my earnings, how much will I need to pay every month? They will do that calculation for you. So it helps you, because for a house, for us here, when we pre-qualifying persons too, that's sometimes a challenge. We know, like as a pre-screening, your earnings and your ability to pay that amount that is required per month. And so sometimes, obviously, persons aim higher. We say, you got to be cognizant of your earnings, your salary. You got to come down a little. If you're, you're a professional, you're working for a high income bracket, so be it. You can go aim for the young professional houses. So the banks will help you to make informed decisions. That's what the banks are there for, to help guide you. There's no, I think long ago it was more like a yes or no answer.
Yes.
But now they're much more cooperative. They understand the vision. The loan portfolio in the sector is huge. And so therefore, they know the vision of the government. Say they know there's X amount that will be available for allocation by X, Y time. And so you can do a lot of planning.
Minister, the housing sector has been booming over the last 3 years. And the government should be proud. Under your stewardship, there has been a massive explosion of, there isn't even enough labor force to do all of this. Can you speak of some of the achievement that has been made over the last 3 years?
So we have to start with the president.
Yes. And
there's a reason. First of all, being a former minister here provides an advantage. And so when His Excellency is part of our manifesto commitment, we said to the people of Guyana, 50,000 house lots.
Yes.
A lot of people said that's pipe dream, all kind of things that they said. Just like when we said 50,000 jobs. And that commitment was made in the context that from 2015 to 2020, just prior to us getting back into office, it was only 5,700 plus allocations. So you understand, and we're at third year, and we have allocated over 24,500 lots.
Wow.
And so we're very close to that midpoint of 25,000. So well, I say that now in the context that the infrastructure works that are required to make those allocations practical require resources. And so from a governmental perspective, obviously the president is faced with burning issues of agriculture and other sectors wanting money for their development of their projects and program. And so it is to ensure that this sector, the housing sector, receives the necessary support to be able to deliver on that commitment. So billions of dollars this year alone. Our budgetary allocation is $50.5 billion. That's our budgetary allocation this year. And so that's a lot of money, right? And we're talking about development of new schemes that has been allocated already, not to come. So those persons are awaiting their new scheme, opening up of new areas. A lot of spin-offs from all of that. Economic benefit, in addition for home ownership and your own space, would be that the sectors are all benefiting. Construction sector in terms of transportation, supplier of the materials, everyone, pipes and what have you in terms of water connection. So everyone benefits when we have construction. So in by and large, that's a big thing that we don't necessarily look at. We just say, sometimes you see numbers, or sometimes the media will ask, well, where are you with your allocation in the context of your commitment? And we'll give the figure. But if you don't say what's the rationale behind it or the story behind it, then the figure means nothing except, yes, it sounds large. But once you put into the context of what is required in making that happen, then you'll understand the commitment of our government. Because it's easy. You could easily go find land and just allocate. But then you have to find the resources to do the infrastructure work. Yeah. So certainly there's a lot happening here. Even in the short period of time, we've had two massive legislative changes. One would be the single window processing unit, electronic single window processing unit. So we're helping the way how you apply and bring some uniformity in the process, predictability in the process, as well as accountability. So you come here, you apply, you can apply online. You don't have to come physically. You'll be anywhere in the world and have your application done for your construction for your business, or if it's for residential too, all are processing through here. We have simultaneous approvals that are happening, meaning it's going to the relevant agencies for the no objection. So all on an electronic platform. That's one. The second big thing would be, I think persons have forgotten, the Condominium Act, because we did not have the necessary legislation that supports shared ownership. So this is one space and you have divided it. Previously, to pass two transports on that one area, or titles on that is but difficult. So it is about where you have a building and you're divided it up. So how do you address that? So for condominiums, for townhouses, etc., we have addressed that, and that's what the Act does. So even duplexes that were built by the last government, that has been addressed by the condominium, because duplexes were built, but we didn't have the necessary support legislation to address that, because as I just said, you give individual ownership.
Yes.
So there was not that you could not split it, because you're now at one land space, but it's divided up. So that has been addressed, and that's a big thing, and it's encouraging now investors to get on board, because land space is also going to become an issue. Land, as time go by, then access to land will be much more difficult. So you have new types of technology, new type of designs that are coming on stream. Townhouses, as I said, condominiums. So people, they don't have time for big areas. They just want that area that they live. They're concentrated in that portion. They pay for that. And so that brings a different type of client. A lot of the expats also look for that type of housing. So we've done a legislative change to address that. So we're working assiduously across the country. We have works that are taking place in every region. We have strengthened our regional offices. We've also changed in terms of, if you have a pending application, you can update this online. You don't have to come, every morning I come here, I see a lot of persons here, but you just don't have to come. You can update that online. That can be done, and we've changed all of that just to ensure that we are making ourselves much more accessible. And we do this physically. You will see both myself and Minister Susan, we're out in the field because we try to interact as much as possible on the ground, interface on the ground, and that's where the real decision making lies. Those are the persons who are really affected. So it's a lot happening here. I mean, I could go on to the other things that we're doing. Yeah. So because, for example, everybody asks about squatting. So this, you know, sometimes a statement is thrown to myself to say, well, then it pays to do the wrong thing. It's not that. We recognize a situation that we've met. This is way before my time. And so we have taken a policy decision, no new squatting will be recognized. However, we have done a review of all those areas where we have unregulated settlements. And so we assess to see whether that can proceed in terms of regularizing or if those persons have to move. There are some area that is called, it's a zero-sum zone. So in the sense of on the reserve for the riverbanks or on the sea defense, that's a no-no zone because, you know, there's no way we can obviously offer ownership for that space. And so those persons have to move. So we're working on that. We have, for example, on the east bank of Demerara, you recall some time ago, His Excellency did visit, and there were some complaints about persons on the riverbank. Yes. We're working to move them. We have taken the occupational survey of those persons, and we're working now to the next stage to address them in terms of relocation. So some areas, because of where it's at, we can regularize. We take decisions to say, yes, it can be regularized, but we do what is called an occupational survey. You have to do the plan to pass the area legally. So the Community Development Department has been quite busy. Sometimes we have to respond, you know, persons say on a humanitarian ground. But certainly, we have a robust housing program. There's absolutely no need for anyone to embark on squatting. Absolutely not. Because obviously, if you squat on a land that you do not own, then you will not be able to receive the necessary services, whether water, electricity, infrastructure access. So you won't get all of that. And so you're stemming development for your own self rather than doing the right thing and then hopefully be addressed in terms of our housing program. Yeah. And so that's where we're at. There's a lot going on, as I said. We have another project called Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program. And so that's catering for another vulnerable set of our population. It's where we have core houses as well as for subsidies. Subsidies now we've increased it to $750,000 contribution for persons with their housing. The core houses built about $4.4 million. So those to date we have built about 68 core houses, or handed over 68 core houses. There are more expected on stream, but that was a funding through a project that has its limitation in the sense of the boundaries in which it can be applicant has to come from. But we can't entertain new application because we already did the outreach, and we have engaged publicly for our persons to apply who think that they may be able to get through on that program. So that was what we are addressing from the pool. And so housing is a lot. We've outgrown where we're at. We have different sub-offices or annexes now, and we're trying to consolidate. So our new head office the construction of our new head office has started. And so that's at Houston, and that's ongoing. And so we'll be able eventually to consolidate in that location.
As again, Business Expo. I'm a foreign investor in Guyana, and I go to the Business Expo, Building Expo, sorry, tomorrow, and I have a walkthrough. What is it there that I can tap into? Are there areas that I can tap into that I can use for business?
Right. So first of all, if you're an investor and you come into our country, in terms of policy directive, in terms of the type of sector, one would be recommended to stop at Go Invest. Okay. And well, by the way, Go Invest has a booth there at the Expo. So Go Invest provides that platform of investment sectors as well as policies in terms of whereby we have concessions and so forth. Those are handled through Go Invest. For us, we handle here in terms of we treat three aspects. You have the industrial, commercial, land, and we develop some of that for persons to invest. That goes through a process. They have an application, have to submit the proposal, etc. And based on the viability, because land is, you know, as I said, not infinity, that has to have a cutoff. And then we also have, in order that, we have our allocation program or home ownership or land ownership for the beneficiaries. So by and large, an investor coming into our country, when they walk through the expo, they will be able to meet local, even local suppliers if they're particularly specialized in a particular type of product or material. Then they'll be able to meet local suppliers that they can collaborate with. Because at the end of the day, joint ventures is something that needs to be done more here. So it provides that synergy, provides strength. You can be able to collaborate with other persons in the sector so that you can maximize your outlets for the, as I said, the product that you're offering. So networking. So an investor coming into our country, networking would be the key. Because knowing some of the suppliers, the big players in the industry is important. And so networking is the way to get onto that.
Brilliant. There's a lot of talk of green spaces. How do you plan on balancing the development, housing development and green spaces so that residents will have a better quality of life?
So every area, new area that we develop, the planning. So we have a planning department, substantive planning department that prepares the plans for when we're going to develop a new area. And in that, they cater for what is called public open space. On our plan, we call it POS. So they cater for that. They also cater for public institutions, because if it's a cluster and a fair amount of the that you're catering for, then they plan for an outpost or a station. So the design will cater for that type of construction in the long term, because once you're in the area, then the respective ministries will have access to that area. And so planning is very important for us, planning and zoning, because in light of the oil and gas sector and what is required, the type of material that some of them may be handling, then the zoning of where that company will be placed to operate becomes very important.
Minister, regularly on social media would see citizens coming out to complain about the quality of work being carried out by contractors, or perhaps they're not contractors, but people who present themselves as such. What regulations are being put in place to ensure that these things don't happen?
Well, for us, we have two types of construction. We have construction that more in terms of infrastructure development for the new areas or existing areas, and we have construction for houses. We have had some complaints, and today I think a media house contacted myself. We are addressing in terms of the houses because we have some contractors we are not pleased with the type of work that they've done. And so that is something on our active attention. And then as fast as possible, we try to weed such contractors out of the system, because they have to build the houses a particular way.
What can citizens expect on a lighter side also? The
launching will be from 5:30. The highlight, of course, for the launching will be none other than His Excellency President Finale. You may be aware, but this Building Expo was his brainchild, started by him. And so he'll be featured speaker tomorrow. And then following that will allow the dignitaries, of course led by the president, to visit many of the exhibitors. I don't think he can finish all that in one night. And it's so much. And in addition to that, we have two areas that I want to make mention. We have the globe, where we're talking about Guyana'S emerging. So in the globe, you enter in the globe, and it's spinning, it's oscillating. And while spinning, there are monitors around the entire inside the globe that will have a production or a video being played. And that will give you Guyana, the change and transformation that Guyana has, that is taking place. It's ongoing, so it's not finished, right? So it's ongoing. And so they'll feature that, but it'll be spinning. So you'll be standing, and then it'll just be spinning. On the outside of the globe has the map of the world, and you'll see where Guyana is positioned in terms of that's why in terms of the world. That's why we say Guyana is emerging. Yes. Then we have another area for dexterity, for persons who want to recall that they've visited Building Expo 2023. We have our fountain. Last year we had the one Guyana corner.
Yes.
So this year we made a change. We've added our fountain. The launching is on a strip right in front. So the stage are in place and everything is in place. We received complaint last year about the auditoriums, how it's hot. So we've added air conditions this year for both 1 and 2, auditorium 1 and 2. That's the big tent I'm talking about. So that's air conditioned, and so I know patrons and exhibitors might be glad to hear that, because sometimes it can be hot when the hot air is circulating. And so there's a lot on showcase. There's some section for small business in the construction sector. They've asked to participate, but they're small, but they've asked to participate. We have the food court, of course, so when you're tired or you finish, you can go get to the food court, get something, and come back to the front end or leisure island, so whereby you can have sit on our benches. We have a nice area that we made some wood benches, so you can have at leisure at that zone. Or you can, with your children, there's the trampoline and other things for the children that's catered for the family, as I said. We want to encourage families to go and visit as a family. It helps them, and make decision as a family. It will help.
Minister, thank you so much for having us. And,
thank you.
We'll surely be there also.
Sure, welcome anytime.